I show 9:30. I do have 9:30. It's 9:30. You take your time.
Okay, good morning. We will call the board meeting for Western Municipal Water District to order at 9:30. And may we have roll call, please?
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Director Gardner.
I am here.
Director Torres.
Here.
Director Dinstedt.
Present.
Director Risby.
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning. President Roten.
And good morning, I am here.
Good morning. President Roten, you do have a quorum today.
Okay. We will move on to the Pledge of Allegiance, which today will be led by Micah Emerine, Creative Services Specialist 3, Communications and Customer Experience Department.
Good morning, Board of Directors. As Director Roten said, my name is Mike Emerine. I'm the Creative Service Specialist 3 here at Western Water. And April will be 4 years here with Western Water, so I'm excited and time has flown by. So it's really awesome how quickly things go. But I'm going to go ahead and lead us this morning in the Pledge of Allegiance. So ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, Micah. Can we get a picture of Micah leading the pledge? Because Micah spent 4 years taking pictures of all of us, and he has never been in any of the pictures. So, wait, can we do it from... Let's do it from that angle with all of us in the background.
Oh, that would be good.
We're going to recreate.
Well, thank you, Craig. That's very kind of you.
You enjoying this?
Yeah.
We didn't care whether you liked it or not, but we thought it was really good for
I
us.
absolutely love being the center of attention.
Yeah, I know. It's perfect.
Off script. Okay, we'll stand, we'll stand.
Let's do it again.
All right.
So we're pretending that we're off script. Okay, here we go.
Feels so weird not doing anything.
Yeah, no pressure.
Several angles.
Are we good?
And we're all smiling, even though you can't see our faces.
Good thing I got a haircut last week and the back of my neck looks okay.
Wow. Okay.
Glad you got a haircut left.
All right. Well, that was a very special Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. We'll move on to public comments. Ms. Ford, do we have any public comments today?
We do not. I have no request to speak, and I've received no written comments.
Okay. When are we going to do the reorder? Do you want to do consent first or do the reorder now?
No, we can do consent. Sorry. It's fine if we do consent, and then we can reorder the agenda after that.
Okay. Then we'll move on to the consent calendar. And were there any items that anyone wanted to pull or have questions on?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Did we have any public comments for consent?
We do not.
All right. We have a motion and a second. When the system is ready, may we have our vote?
We're just slightly slow this morning. Director Gardner.
Aye.
Director Torres.
Yes.
Director Dinstedt.
Aye.
Director Risby.
Aye.
Director Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Okay. And we'll move to items to be added to the agenda. Mr.
Yes,
Miller?
nothing to add today, but I would recommend that we reorder the agenda. We have a couple of closed sessions with several people in attendance on Zoom to participate in those closed sessions. So maybe Mr. Ballinger could read us, if the board is willing to do that, he could read us into closed session.
Absolutely. Are we all in consensus to do that? Okay.
Okay, so if the board is so inclined, we'll be going into closed session to discuss the two items that are listed on the agenda with conference with legal counsel, and then we'll be coming back out after closed session for the open session.
All right.
Oh.
Yeah, like I have mine on right now and I can see one little tiny, 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 like millimeter of the light.
Yeah.
So,
In progress.
Yeah, we have everybody, right?
Keep track of stuff. I write my questions down.
We need just a minute.
Okay.
Just moving you out of closed session. He made me host. We good? We're good to go.
Okay. All right, we will readjourn, no. Reopen. We're coming back from closed session. There we go. And Mr. Ballinger, would you like to make a little report, please?
Yes, absolutely. President, members of the board, members of the public, the board met in closed session to discuss the two items that are listed on the agenda, and there was no reportable action. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So with that, we'll move on to item 7, the action agenda. And the first item, A, authorize the general manager to execute reverse cyclic program retail water purchase agreements with Elsinore Valley Municipal Water District, Rancho California Water District, and Temescal Valley Water District. Mr. Miller.
Yeah, thank you, President Roten. So we took this action as a board. Now we got to take an action for the agreements with the member agencies that are going to purchase the water. So Ryan will give us the background.
Thank you, Craig. Good morning, President Roden and directors. As always, I hope you're doing well. I'll buzz through this. I think we've talked about reverse cyclic for a number of months now. You may recall that this is a program that Metropolitan has offered as a pre-purchase program for paying for water now, and the delivery of water will occur in a future date, within 5 years to be specific. So in November, their board approved a new reverse cyclic program arrangement, and following that, your board approved us to participate in that program. So a little background and then a status update since November. As I just mentioned, it's a pre-purchased program for treated water supplies for Metropolitan that they will deliver within the next 5 years. They put out a 100,000 acre-foot bucket to be available to all of their member agencies. They received over 200,000 acre-foot requests from a variety of member agencies. So they had to think about how and when they're going to actually accept these offers and make the deliveries. That 100,000 acre-foot is was scheduled, for calendar year 24 and 25 at the 24 and 25 service rates that you see on the screen before you. So, as I mentioned, our board approved us participating, submitting an application, if you will, to Metropolitan for 13,500 acre feet of the 100,000 acre foot bucket. which would have been a cost of about $18.8 million in 2025 dollars. Fortunately, we were able to nail down and lock in the 2024 rate. So if you looked at that difference, it's about $130, $140 difference between 24 and 25. So kudos to the board for acting quickly and being first in line. That ended up paying off for us quite well. So since November, we now have an executed agreement with Metropolitan. As I mentioned, locked in that 2024 rate. There was a question from Metropolitan staff on how they were going to allocate that 100,000 acre feet to the participating member agencies because there was such a large request. So they ended up using a 5-year historical average of purchases of treated water from 2018 to 2023, with the exception of 2022, which was a dry year when the state water project dependent areas were asked to cut back, if you recall. So what does that mean for Western? Out of the 13,500 that we requested, we ended up getting 11,694 acre feet, which is pretty darn good from my perspective, based on the amount of interest in the program. So really good news for us. We then in turn reached out to our member agencies, our retail agencies, and asked, is anybody else interested in participating? Because Western stepped up and said, we'll front the money, but would you like to participate and get a potential savings on this program? We also mimicked Metropolitan's 5-year historical average of purchases allocation methodology. The agencies that I'll show you on the next slide that are participating agreed to that. They said that's equitable, it's fair, no problem. So 11,694 acre feet totals to $14.7 million, which we've already been invoiced for by Metropolitan, not surprising. Peter and Veronica are all over it. So we're going to pay that in this next month, and you'll see in the agreements that are before you today that we're asking the 3 agencies, Elsinore, Temescal, and Rancho, to reimburse Western by the end of this month. So it's a pretty quick turnaround. We're moving fast on this one. But they've all agreed to it. I believe Rancho, Temescal already have authority to make the payment, and Elsinore is going to their board this month as well. So I think we're covered in terms of financial risk. The other thing I'll add is why are we doing this? So we're trying to help out Metropolitan, obviously, but there's a pre-purchase savings. You'll see at the bottom of the slide here, potential savings. Excuse me. If Metropolitan were to deliver the water this year, which we think they will, and again, this is water that we're already going to buy anyways, so it's kind of a nice little program. We're looking at $1.6 million in savings for the 4 agencies under Western that are participating. So for water that we're already going to purchase, helping out Metropolitan, helping out our customers, I think it's a good move on our part. So as I mentioned, Elsinore, Temescal, Rancho, and Western Retail, we are the 4 agencies under Western that are participating in this program. You can see in that first column there, the total of the 5-year historical treated water purchases, about 50,000 acre feet. And the next column over is the historical percentage, and that equates to the potential acre foot purchase, and again, the payment, the reimbursement that each of the agencies will pre-purchase this water for. So again, it totals up to about $14.7 million for 11,694 acre feet. So the agreements in front of you, we have, it's a simple letter agreement. It's literally like 2 pages. We're going to have one agreement with each of these 3 agencies. The 3 key terms that you should take home, pre-purchase commitment. Obviously, we're asking the agencies to commit to buy the water and ask them to pay by the end of February. So again, a pretty quick turnaround, but they understand it, they get it, they see the advantage. If we're going to get $1.6 million of savings, they're willing to participate, as you might imagine. We do have some late fee provisions in there in case something does happen where they can't pay by the end of February. and things like that. But those are kind of minor details, and I don't foresee any of those coming to fruition. The other big ticket item in terms of key terms, this one is out of Western's control. So the delivery of water, right, this is a pre-purchase. We're paying for the water now. Metropolitan will deliver the water within the next 5 years. It's at Metropolitan's discretion. So a little bit of a caveat there. We're not quite sure. If you're the finance folks at Met, you're saying deliver it now, deliver it now, deliver it now, because we know in 5 years Met's rate is going to be, several $100s more than it is today. That's been made clear to the participating agencies. They understand. Conservatively, we think Met's going to deliver it this year, which is fine. We still get that savings, but it could be up to 5 years down the road. So with that, the recommendation is to authorize the general manager to execute reverse cyclic retail water purchase agreements with Elsinore, Rancho, and Temesco. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, do we have questions?
To approve.
I see buttons being pushed. Director Rizzo.
Yes, I had a question. So these are the agencies that were interested in being a partner with us on this. We offered it to all the agencies. How did it work?
Yeah, good question. We offered it to all the agencies that buy Metropolitan water,
Okay,
and these are the ones that raised their hand. You got it.
thank you.
Director Gardner?
Not a question, a comment. I think this is a good idea. I think it is beneficial to our retail customers, and it's beneficial to our wholesale partners, and to their customers. It's a smart thing to do. Hopefully, they don't provide all of the water in the first year, and we'll see more savings. But even if they do, it's still a significant savings for all of our parties, and I think we ought to do it. I'll second the motion.
I actually had a couple questions. On the, I think it's slide 3, reverse cyclic program at a glance. Under the purchase price, could you clarify for me, so full service rate, including readiness to serve charge, but then excluding capacity charge? And why would that be, or how does that come about?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the capacity charge is a fixed charge. And the reason why Met was willing to exclude it is because they are holding the delivery discretion. So they determine when the water gets delivered. Capacity charge is, sorry, I'm forgetting that. It's May through September. So it's a summertime delivery fee,
Oh, okay.
capacity charge.
A fee, it's to cover Metropolitan's operations, so everybody doesn't want water in the middle of the summer, and they wouldn't have the pipe diameter and the reservoir capacity and the pumping capacity to deliver. So they're trying to discourage people from peaking off of Metropolitan at the worst time of year. So if you buy a big slug of water in the summer, you pay a capacity charge on top of that, so Met Water gets more expensive normally. And what we would be worried about here is that Met would say, oh, guess what, we're going to deliver this in July through August, and then we would say, that's not going to count against our peaking, because Met, you picked when you were going to deliver it. We didn't ask for it to be delivered then, so it should not have anything to do with capacity, and so they agreed.
Oh,
Okay. Oh, thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, that's nuts and bolts details of Metropolitan rates.
I actually thought I was asking a question that I should have already known the answer
No,
to,
not
but I don't think so.
Not really.
So, thank you. Hang on, just bear with me here a minute. Thought I had another. The status update slide. So you mentioned that we would be buying water anyway, which got me to wondering, so this allocation is separate from what we would normally buy?
No, this is part of what we would normally buy.
Okay.
So we're just pre-purchasing we're prepaying for water that we're buying regardless.
Okay.
So it's an
okay.
opportunity to
buy it
buy,
at a good
buy
price,
it
kinda like a
low.
discount.
Okay.
It gets delivered later. It becomes a benefit to our customers because as we work on the rates, this is going to be a lower cost imported water in years 2, 3, 4, whenever they decide to deliver it. The other thing I'll add is Ryan used the word risk, and it's an appropriate word of risk. Do we have risk here? We don't really have risk here. The other agencies that are participating with it, I look at it as their risk. If they decide not to sign up and authorize this agreement, we're fine. Because we have the capacity to take all of the water if we need to.
That was
So
another
I don't
question
see a
I had.
risk for Western. I think it's a risk for them to not participate, but we've purposefully picked an amount that even if we had to buy all of the water in this program and none of our member agencies participated, we could still do it within what we're going to take as Western.
Oh,
So we're sharing this with our member agencies as we should,
yes.
but if for some reason they back out, which they're not going to, then we would still be okay. We wouldn't lose money on this deal.
Okay. Oh, awesome. All right, well, you answered all my questions, and I have to apologize because I don't think I was at the committee meeting where this was all
Well,
discussed.
This went Monday, you
Oh,
weren't
I
there.
definitely
You
wasn't
were
there
with me in
Monday.
Sacramento.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't there Monday.
We have to
So-
move this fast because the program
yeah.
has gone so fast.
Yeah,
And, our member agencies understand what an enormous value this is. So
Right.
it's all going to work. We just have to make sure we protect
yeah.
ourselves.
No, I think it's great, and I wanted to compliment our staff for foresight, but also for the expediency of getting this through the process so quickly. And then good on these agencies for wanting to turn it around as quickly as well, so. I think we were first in line. Yeah, so that was great. No, I'm very much in support. So I don't like, I shouldn't say I don't like. Sometimes when I ask questions, it's just for my understanding. It's not because I'm skeptical of the project itself. So I don't want anyone to misinterpret my questions. I just have to get it organized in my brain, so. All right, do we have any other questions or discussion? No? And I believe we have a motion. Did we have a second? Right, okay. Oh, public comment, thank you. Did we have any?
No public comment, and can I ask who made the motion? I did not hear that.
I did. Director
Thank you.
Torres.
Got the second.
Okay, let us know when you're ready for the vote.
No. Director Gardner,
Aye.
Director Torres,
Yes.
Director Dinstedt,
Aye.
Director Risby,
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes,
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item B, adopt resolution 3338, appointing board representatives for the Santa Ana Watershed Project Authority.
Yeah, I'll handle this. Tammy will back me up if I mess it up. She's got it. The next 4 items can all go pretty fast, but we need to take them individually. So these are all kind of more administrative from staff side to change some of the representatives. The board already decided that in the matrix, who the board representation will be, so this is really for staff. So the first one, Resolution 3338 with SAPA, is to add Derek Kawai to the PA 24 meeting. We, Director Gardner just negotiated this with SAPA that we can add an additional alternate to PA 24, which helps us administratively. That's all I have.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Any public comment?
We have none.
Okay,
I will just point out that SWAPA at their meeting yesterday did approve adding an additional alternate.
good timing. Whenever you're ready.
Director Gardner,
Aye.
Director Torres,
Yes.
Director Dinstedt,
Aye.
Director Risby,
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes,
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
thank you. We'll move on to item C.
Item C is Resolution 3339 for RCRA, I'd like to add Paul Rug as an alternate for the board. We have two board members that represent us, a primary and an alternate, and then we have a staff alternate. I've been serving that role. I'm not offended, but Director Rizvi's never let me say anything in any of the meetings because she's always there. But I think it's more efficient for us to have Paul filling my seat at the board meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Do we have any public comment on this item?
We do not.
Okay. Any questions before we vote? Whenever you're ready.
Director Gardner.
Aye.
Director Torres.
Yes.
Director Dinstead.
Aye.
Director Rizvi.
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Item D, this is all sounding very,
It's sounding all very familiar, right? Resolution 3341 is for the Upper Santa Ana River Watershed Infrastructure Financing Authority, which may not ring a bell, but this is the Upper Santa Ana River HCP that we're participating in. Valley is the lead on this. They're forming a JPA, just like all the others that are on here. And Kevin Mascaro was our representative. It's very technical, it's very financial. It's a finance staff person, so I'd like to add Rick as our representative there. Or not add, change from Kevin to Rick.
So move.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Any public comments?
No public comment.
Okay. We can vote.
Director Gardner.
Aye.
Director Torres.
Yes.
Director Dinstead.
Aye.
Director Rizvi.
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
And now item E.
Okay, the last one. This is for the Santa River Water Master Steering Committee. Mallory has been doing an outstanding job of representing us. I'd like that to continue, but we don't have the correct name for her. She changed her name from Mallory Gondara to Mallory O'Connor, so let's make that right. So we'd just like to change the name.
So move.
Second.
And I believe Ryan's our alternate? No changes there.
Okay. Any public comment?
No.
All right, we have a motion and a second whenever you're ready for the vote.
Director Gardner.
Aye.
Director Torres.
Yes.
Director Dinstead.
Aye.
Director Rizvi.
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 5-0.
Okay, we will move on to reports. Mr. Ballinger, do we have a general counsel report today?
I provided you printouts of some new legislation that BBK has prepared. I believe we'll be having some more. The ones that I provided you today aren't necessarily water-related, but they're for your general information. So
Great.
let me know if you have any questions about any of this specific legislation.
Thank you very much. And the general manager report.
Okay. It's been busy. I guess I could cut my briefing off there. It's been busy. I met, obviously, big news out of Metropolitan last week.
Really, you're gonna drop that, and you're gonna not let me
Uh,
drop that after I spent how many hours in closed session on that?
Okay, you can go.
I was sitting here scrolling through, finding the press release and everything.
Okay, I'll leave that for you. On the business model side of things, up at Met, very busy. I was up there last week for 2.5 days, talking about business model. Thought we were gonna talk about camp, but, and other things, the GM roundtable. So, very intense, activities up there. Some really interesting discussions about, some modifications to Met's business model that the group of member agency managers are really wrestling with. So, lots going on there. The Western Water Roundtable event was last week in here. Thank you all for attending. Well received. Lots of comments. The audience really enjoyed Shane Chapman and hearing his perspective. That was very well received. I also really appreciated the other general managers weighing in and providing their member agency's perspective. It's supposed to be a roundtable. That's why we called it a roundtable. it's been a lot of us talking at them, and so it was really great to hear them participating, and I think that will definitely continue. I thought it went really well. Very, very necessary thank you to the CCX and the administrative services teams. It's really hard to pull those events together and to get people to show up and to handle everything. So events are hard, and that went off without a hitch. And so congratulations to all the staff that made that happen. We've been up in Sacramento the last 2 days for CMUA and their Capital Day. So I as a president of CMUA, I had to be there. There was a half day. What's the right term? It's Capital Day. It's a conference. It's like a conference, right? So they brought a bunch of speakers in. They had a really interesting kind of fireside chat with 2 economists from UC Davis, Jay Lund, who's been doing water work for our California Water for All movement, and then they had his equivalent on the power side. And they talked about big picture economics of water and power for the state. And it was just really interesting to hear independent thought on how California should be changing what we do in power and water. And so I, as president, I may have some pull, but I've asked Danielle to bring that back for the conference, the CMUA conference that'll happen in April as a conference session. Super valuable to hear. And then we had kind of a parade of legislators that unfortunately I actually missed because our own meeting started and Fazio was going around with us and we had to walk out to go do our own meetings. The other session that I want to highlight just briefly is Joaquin Esquivel from the state board, and I don't have her name with me, from CARB. We'll find it, but she's the board chair of CARB. We're talking about CARB and water from a statewide perspective, and it was really interesting on the CARB side because they're talking about electrification of fleets. And so I don't want Chris to fall out of his chair or storm out of the building here, but they continue to talk about how they're going to force public sector utilities to electrify their fleets. And as we, with operations and our emergency response responsibilities, talk about the danger in that, the peril in having an electrified fleet that would have to go into a fire, and how do you recharge the vehicles? If we send mutual aid to Palisades Fire or to the Altadena Fire, think of an electric vehicle leaving here, driving it an hour and a half, sitting there trying to work and do work up there. It's going to run out of juice the first half a day. What do? It runs out of juice in the fire. So CARB talked all about how they're trying to force the manufacturers of motors to produce them less expensively so there's not such a heavy impact on us, our board, to buy those vehicles and on our customers. And the general managers are trying to tell CARB that the whole concept is flawed because we can't have an electrified fleet as emergency responders. And so we have a big fight that's going to continue on there. They think we're mad because it costs a lot, which it does, which our customers don't want to be saddled with. We're really worried because we can't meet our emergency response priority. It really interesting. But also as we went and talked about that with our delegation, we're trying to introduce that. We're also pushing that at CMUA, and we may be looking at legislation to attack that again. We'll see. But a big picture issue. Our visits, we met with our new member, Leticia Castillo. That was really interesting. That was our first meeting. I kind of felt like her eyes were like rolling back in her head as we're trying to explain water. You can imagine her perspective, not really being a water person. So that was great to make that introduction and to meet her and her staff that Michael will be dealing with all the time. We met with Genevieve Wong, who is the staff person for the Senate Water and Environment Committee. That is where SB 72 has been assigned. So she's the one that'll do the analysis for the committee. So we met with her. That was really good. She was the same person that did the analysis 2 years ago for the bill. So we were there to answer questions. It's not, I don't know that she's actually read the new bill. We're a little early, but it was really good to explain it before she reads it so she knows our perspective. So that was very, very helpful. We met with Asali's office, Ciarto's office, Sanchez's office, Jackson's office, and Caballero's office. Unfortunately, they had special meetings going on, and so they all got dragged away, so we didn't get to meet with a lot of the members. But we have great relationships in all of those offices. And obviously, Caballero's office is super important as the author of our bill. And Gianna, who we met with, has been right there doing all the negotiating with the governor's office and with the state board and with the Department of Water Resources. So very valuable meeting to talk details and strategy with the bill. So that was really beneficial. And then yesterday afternoon, we hosted the next version of the Water Solutions Summit Group. So we tried to take advantage of some of these general managers being up there for CMUA. We locked them for 4 hours in a room and tried to talk more about strategy for the bill and also next steps. When this bill gets passed, what are the next jobs for this group to move water supply forward in California? This bill is just the first step in a long journey to change how California plans for water supply. So we had that meeting. It went great. Some of the board members were talking about State of the City. We sponsored that event. Directors Roten and Torres were there last Thursday. Thank you very much for coming. I think maybe all of us missed the reception beforehand because we were all working. We'll have to think harder about modifying our schedules next year. The first board rates, special board meeting for rates workshop is going to be Monday, February 10th. So that is a public meeting. It'll be noticed. And then last thing is also next week I'll be speaking to the Mission Grove Neighborhood Association. That's it. Happy to answer questions.
Any questions? So that's it, Craig?
Sitting around.
Thank you. Thank you for that report. We'll move on to directors' reports and requests. SAPA.
Okay, SAPA did meet yesterday, took a number of actions. The first was rotation of officers, which they do every 2 years. And I am the chair for the next 2 years. Yeah, whoopee. Let's see, Gil Botello from Valley is the vice chair, and Phil Pauley at Eastern is secretary treasurer. We appointed the OWOW steering committee members, Gil Botello, who will function as the convener, and Phil Pauley as the second member. Appointed Director Denstedt as the primary commissioner and me as the alternate for San Jacinto Watershed Authority. Lejeune, yes. Took no action on changing the compensation for members attending meetings. And at SAPA, that means there's an automatic 5% increase. So that happened. Extended the contract with the auditor, the current auditor, for 2 more years. The chief financial officer for SAPA is retiring end of this year, and we didn't want to stick the new person with breaking in a new auditor. And this auditor has been very good, so they'll be on for 2 years, then there'll be an RFP. And then the PA 24 committee, which is the brine line, also met, and it did take a formal action to allow a third representative, so a second alternate member. So that was done. And that's it for SAPA.
Okay, thank you. And now, drum roll, the Met report.
Yes, the Met report. It was definitely a very busy January. And after 3 special board meetings with 3 closed sessions, and I'm sure that this is not news to anybody, but I will go ahead and read the press release that was issued on January the 29th, which was last Wednesday. The Metropolitan Water District Board of Directors has exercised its contractual right to terminate General Manager Adel Hajj-Khalil's employment agreement under the terms of his employment contract. The change is effective immediately. And it was, I'll go ahead and read on. We thank Mr. Hajj-Khalil for his contributions to Metropolitan Board Chair Adan Ortega Jr. said during the closed session board meeting today, where the decision was made with more than 80% of the vote, the board took decisive steps to stabilize our organization and workforce while doubling down on climate action and long-term water supply sustainability. We need to reinforce our focus on fulfilling our core mission and addressing the immediate challenges ahead. And following that, through a unanimous vote, the board voted to appoint Devin Apatier as general manager and will consider his employment contract in February. So I was at CASA when this special board meeting was called. It was a very long closed session, almost 5 hours. And the news obviously hit like wildfire. So we are extremely pleased and confident that Devin Apatier is the appropriate person to have in the general manager's chair at this time. The organization really has a lot of respect for an individual who's spent a lot of years within that organization coming up through its ranks. And he has sent several messages off to the organization to do exactly that and stabilize everything. I know he has a tremendous relationship with our general manager, along with several of the general managers in the area, and so I'm sure we will see some changes. I think he's going to be focusing on righting the ship and getting back to the core mission. And so with that, I have my board meeting and committee day next week, so hopefully we are back to business of water.
I was wondering if you were going to say business as usual, but I like that.
No.
Business of water.
Business of water.
Thank you for the hours, literally hours and hours that have gone into all the business of Met, but especially that particular issue. I know that's been long and arduous, to say the least. So we appreciate your representation there on our behalf.
Thank you.
So, Chino Basin Water Master. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes.
I have seen and heard that there is a specific time for Mr. Apatier's appointment through the end of this year. Is that accurate?
I can tell you that the terms of his employment will come up before us, so I will be able to report what is actually done.
Okay, so there, nothing reportable on the length of the employment?
At this point, no.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Matt?
No.
Okay.
Chino Basin meets on the 27th.
All righty, and CDA meets tomorrow. And RCRA.
RCRA will meet on February 20th.
February 20, okay, and WRCOG.
WRCOG, we did have a meeting on Monday. So, several things happened. One, we had 7 new members to welcome, so that was a change for sure for several different cities to change their representative. It is not unusual. That's generally about the number when you look at a board that's as large as WRCOG is. So, with new elections, changeover, reappointments, some of the cities change when their mayors change, so they put their mayors in and to sit at WRCOG. So we have 7 new members. I am also very pleased to announce that WRCOG has received a Top Workplace Award this year. So congratulations to Executive Director over there and to staff for receiving that award. And then you guys should all be getting the WRCOG communicator, which has a listing of different events, activities, things that are going on, special things that might be taking place in the city, oil change events, those types of things. So you should be receiving those in your email, and if you are not, let me know so we can make sure that you are on the list, because that will highlight specific things. It should include like state of the cities and a variety of different activities like that, so they can be placed upon your calendars. And then we also authorize the new building purchase. So we have purchased a building officially now, and we'll be moving out of the space here sometime this year after we complete our due diligence. Escrow is completed and all of that. So we are currently in escrow. We're doing our due diligence. We're making sure that everything is in play. We have some tenants that are in the building. It is over there on Chicago Avenue. And so there are certain tenants. One of them will be moving out and will be assuming that space to take over for WRCOG, and the executive committee meetings are all expected to happen then in that building.
Chicago and what?
It's, I have the address if you want it.
Oh,
So
no, that's all
it's
right.
over by, yeah, I haven't been there yet. I just know what the address is. It's over by the POA for Riverside. Riverside POA's building. So, so I'll get you the address. I'll look that up.
Yeah, that's exciting that they're buying.
Yeah, so it's a good time to do that, so it's about time. And we have some long-term leases in there. The state of California is in there. There's a couple of others, so they'll continue to occupy their space because we only needed a certain amount of space, so that'll generate a positive income. So we're good with that. And then finally, I will go ahead and announce that Jackie Casillas, who is sitting as the first chair, the first vice chair, had a change in conflict in her schedule, and so she's reluctantly having to resign from the IREN committee, executive committee. So nominations are being accepted for IREN. So if you are interested in the Inland Regional Energy Network to be a part of that executive committee for those decisions, I would have you look over your email and look through the requirements of what is needed, because they meet frequently to discuss all of those commitments and everything that's going in on the energy side for IREN. And that's a JPA that's been formed with San Bernardino and Coachella Valley. So if you are interested, I suggest that you follow through with that nomination and that information.
And where would we find it?
It should have been emailed to you, and if it wasn't, I can forward you an email.
Okay.
Okay? And I think that is all I have for WRCOG.
All right. Sarah.
We were supposed to meet this month, but it was canceled.
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
Shocking. And Aqua?
Aqua, so we have our DC conference coming up at the end of the month. So if you're interested in participating in that, I would reach out to Tammy. I don't know if it's too late to register or not. Okay, it's too late to register, so you should have already done that. But I will be in attendance for that federal DC conference, and I will report back after I get back.
All right, so we'll move to director's comments. Director Torres, would you like to start?
Yeah, I just want to say, like Craig said, we went to the State of the City, beautiful event. The city clearly has a lot going on. And so it was great to be with the team and just see, you know, how great of a partnership we have with the city of Riverside. Other than that, just happy Valentine's Day and all the President's Days that are coming up.
Okay, thank you. Director Risty?
All righty. Last week I attended CASA as a board member of CASA. We had a board meeting. It was, it was a great conference this time. Both the main events were really good. One was about AI and how, Gigi the speaker was talking about how some of the agencies are very reluctant about AI and how we need to move ahead and use AI for our, for moving ahead for the wastewater agencies. So that was a great presentation. A couple of other agencies talk about how they're using AI for even using it for their wastewater, systems and stuff. So it was very informative. There was one agency, they talked about that they're ready, but how they need to train their workforce to be ready, because that's something that they're seeing, that still there's trust issues and all that coming up. So that was a great presentation by them. And what I attended a lot of committee meetings. That was really, very informative. As Michael did a great job in the state legislative committee of what the issues are coming up regarding biosolids and PFAS. And what I really liked about CASA this year, that they have sent out a lot of talking points on PFAS, biosolids, and renewable resources for agencies to there was a last time we went there was a lot of discussions about, there's a lot of articles and news reports about PFAS, and they're all doomsday, and there's the agencies are not doing enough, and there's just so much going on. So they really gave out really good talking points. I would share it with my team members if anybody wants to use it. So it was a great conference overall, and I got to learn a lot about it. And then I attended the CMUA Annual Capital Day. That was my first time. It was a great and a packed day. I didn't realize we can meet so many people in just so many hours. But as Craig mentioned, the panel between energy and water, excuse me, it was very independent of political opinions for people. It was about what is going on. So I thought that was amazing. I would suggest maybe a great, panel for Aqua as well. So that's about it. Thank you
Very good.
so much.
All right, thank you. Director Gardner?
Joked.
This is, I think we all know, is Black History Month, and Council Member Sean Mill from City of Riverside is doing a Facebook post every day that highlights a person important in Black history, and he ends his post every day with the statement that you can't talk about American history without talking about Black history. And it's really an informative set of short articles. It's like a 1-minute read, and it's really interesting. I would recommend that people take a look at it.
Okay, anything else? Director Denstead?
I also attended the CASA conference. It was my intention to attend more of the conference. Unfortunately, I got scheduled for the special board meeting for Metropolitan. I did get to, however, attend the Federal Legislative Committee. It was packed. That room was packed. Everybody wanted to know, what is the new federal stuff going to come out? What is going to be happening? Could they give us a crystal ball estimate, which everybody just kind of dabbled in that a little bit. One thing that they were really excited about was the number 2 person that's put into the EPA is Jess Kramer, who apparently knows everything there is to know about PFAS issues and is educated on it, and so we can have a conversation. So that was nice to have that name floated out there, that that person already is coming in with knowledge. So that was good. And then they talked about the enormous budget challenges that there are going to be and have been stated by the Trump administration. There's going to be some budget cuts coming up for 26. So they're already going to start looking at the budget in March for 26. And that cycle is already, I'm sure, underway. And then the other thing that I thought was really interesting in the note that I wrote down is that they expect that PFAS liability issues for water will deal with more of the polluter side. So that's going to be an interesting thing to see how that all hammers out and what comes out of it. But all in all, it was a very interesting conversation. It went way over time, and it was filled with more people than I've ever seen at that conference for that particular federal legislation, because they have it at every conference, but it was attended more so than the past. So just interesting to see that people are dialed in to see what's going on.
Nice. Okay, and I'll just share a couple of things. I, as mentioned, was in attendance at the State of the City for Riverside. And I also attended the Jurupa Valley Interagency Council meeting on the 31st. And that's a kind of a roundtable meeting of all the agencies and special districts and the city in Jurupa Valley. And they get together every other month. And I don't always get to attend that, but I really enjoy attending it because you hear all around the, the school district, the parks district, all the different entities in Jurupa Valley. And I have to tell you that water is well represented at that roundtable. So JCSD is there and RCSD, and then myself for Western, and Santa Ana River I don't think was there this particular time, but they have been there in the past. And so I wanted to just briefly share a couple of things that RCSD, Arroyo Community Services District, provides. I know, I'm the one that's already asking about. Oh, no. Do you only see the yellow? That's it.
I want people to say briefly her
No,
comments, okay?
it's only the
So,
yellow.
okay.
Rubidoux Community Service District also provides fire service to their segment of Jurupa Valley, and so there was, we have had a couple of clay fires, they called them, down in the river, and they were thankful for the services that had been provided, and then mentioned that 2 of the entities in Jurupa Valley, the VFW and Reach Out, which is a nonprofit in our city, both opened up for services for people that had been affected by the fires and also the power safety shutoffs. And so it was great that they mentioned it. They're also doing the smart meter replacements, as also JCSD is in the midst of that as well. Armand was there, their government relations representative, and he mentioned that they are happy to go out and do presentations on the conservation as a way of life. I guess January was the first reporting period that they had to turn in things, and they're focusing on non-functional turf removal first with public agencies. So that's their initial focus on that. They also were presented a top workplace award. So that was kind of cool. And then the gentleman from Fire, CAL FIRE, so Jurupa Valley is served by RCSD has their portion with CAL FIRE, and then the city has their portion with CAL FIRE, but it's really all CAL FIRE. It just depends which contract they're working under. He mentioned that they sent out strike teams to the Palisades and the, I wrote Eaton, that's not the right word, is it?
Yeah.
It is
Yeah, the
Eaton?
Eaton Fire.
Okay.
Yeah, the Eaton.
He said they were able to send strike teams to help with that and keep all our stations fully staffed. So that was pretty cool. And then they thanked the water district, which I assume, well, I don't know which one it would have been, for help on the clay fire. I guess that clay fire in the river bottom was hard to get to. It's such thick brush down there, so. And kind of a bonus that I didn't know was going to happen, immediately following that meeting, very strategically planned at the parks. This one was held at the Hope Area Recreation and Park District. They unveiled an art sculpture that had been on display at the Riverside Art Museum, and it was leaving there. And the title of it is called Peace and Friendship, which is one of the meanings of Harupa. There's a couple different, depending which historian you talk to, there's a couple different ones of what Harupa means, but one of them is peace and friendship. And it's, I hope I have the first name right because I meant to look it up. It's Frank Heiming. He has Mike, I'm sure you're familiar, and his wife Lucy was there. And they have a beautiful home in Riverside with like gardens, and she's a master gardener. I'm not sure if he is, but she definitely is. And so he donated this, I think it was a donation. It was going to be to the city, and the city called the parks, and they just had a perfect place for it. So I'm all about art in public places, and so I enjoyed being able to be there for that. And the only other just quick report, I was up in Sacramento the week before this with Habitat for Humanity, which was not directly water related, but we were advocating for affordable housing funding that has been pretty much stripped from the budget. And of course, you can't have housing without water. So I got in a couple points about the importance of water in those meetings, but I had never done their advocacy days before, so it was very enjoyable. I felt we were very well received, and then this past week I was there for Monday morning group on behalf. I serve on the water committee and the military committee for Monday morning group, so we talked a lot of water. Allison McKenzie from Babcock Laboratories is also on that committee, and so we were able to meet with many of the same folks you did, but a few different ones as well. And it's a whirlwind of a 2 days, but I love being part of that process, and just having that voice and being able to share it. So I was very honored and felt blessed to be able to be part of that. So I think that's it because I've gone on long enough.
I forgot something.
Oh, Brenda forgot something.
I forgot something.
Okay.
So I got to spend 2 days with Colonel Bailey
Oh, gosh, yes.
from March.
Yep.
And got to go on a civic leaders mission for refueling, and flew to Oklahoma City to Tinker Air Base and got to see a tour of the depot over there where they take apart all of the tankers and essentially put all new stuff on them and refurb them. The KC-135 that we flew over in was from 1958 and was due for maintenance, I guess, next year. So, we're like, wait a minute, are we flying on a refurbished one or not? But the really cool part is that we had a deviation of our plan. We were supposed to do a mission briefing, and we were supposed to we got to meet the general over at Tinker Air Base, but we were supposed to do a whole mission briefing and a whole deal with him. It turns out that instead our flight deviated to the mission. We got to refuel F-16 Vipers in the air over Roswell,
right?
New Mexico. Actually, it was 7 of them.
Oh, okay.
7 of them, and they came in 2 different packs. And I have some of the most exciting photos of F-16s flying off, and I sent it to one of my friends who said, "Why are you being escorted by F-16s?" No, we're refueling them. So But you know, it was really nice to have that one-on-one time with the colonel and have conversations to understand the importance of March, what that means to the Inland Empire, what that means to our economy. We're getting new tankers over here. Those are expected in 2026, so we get to talk about that and, you know, to just really interface with the importance of what this military base means to us here, and it's being a size, it's the largest, you know, and it really was such a wonderful opportunity. So he's very aware of what Western has done to advocate for all of our infrastructure over there and trying to bring them up to speed and fighting for the grants and things. So I was really pleased to hear his knowledge and that he just was dialed in. Because we've had a lot of commanders over there, and sometimes it takes us a hot second to be able to really get to have conversations so that they understand and receive us for what we're trying to do. And he is totally dialed in. So I was really pleased to hear that. And it was just a really wonderful experience. So if you ever get invited, do not say no. Just don't say no. It was a really nice opportunity. So I totally forgot about that. And if anybody wants to see these pictures, I've got some of the coolest pictures you will ever see.
Awesome. And I forgot to say a big thank you to Michael Hadley because Monday Morning Group takes up a Leave Behind booklet, and I know you were very instrumental in helping to provide that information for the water section, so much appreciated. So, all right. Well, our next meeting is Wednesday, February 19th, right here at 9:30. And if there are no further comments or questions, we will adjourn at 11:22. I mean, I should say that with authority. 11